Hi everybody, this is going to be a quick step-by-step tutorial for making the half double crochet stitch using US terminology. If you're following UK terms, then you will know this stitch as the half treble. It's the same stitch, just a different name for it. But this is a quick little swatch for you to have a look of how our end result will look like. It's again a great basic stitch to have in your arsenal and to know how to complete. So without further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. To start with your half double stitch, again, you will need your yarn and a corresponding hook. So as always, starting off with a loop, hook through the loop, tighten around it, and then let's do a series of chains. Again, this will depend on the pattern you are using or whatever it is you want to create. If it's just a swatch, for this demonstration, I will only put a few chains in here just to show you a bit how it looks. So just with every front row that you start building, once you have your chains, you will look to be going with your hook in the middle of that chain, picking up that upper loop. Again, that is unless your pattern specifies something different. But again, you can see by holding the chains flat that there is a little V that is formed with two little legs, one here, one here. The idea is that you go through with your hook through that middle of that chain. And my preference to start off with half doubles is to go to the second chain from hook. So that's very similar to the single crochet stitch. Again, the loop on your hook doesn't count. Then you have a first loop, I guess, here, and that's what counts as your first chain. And it's the chain that this extra yarn, the rest of your yarn, comes through, so it's easy to spot it once you know. And then obviously the chain we're looking to go through is the one right next to it. That's the second chain from hook. So for the half double crochet, what you need to do is before you enter the chain is actually wrap your yarn around your hook. So you yarn over first. And then once you've got this extra loop on your hook, you go through your chain as so. So already you have 3 loops here. And then you're going to yarn over and go through the chain. So that means you keep that original yarn that you'd yarn over on your hook, but you only go through the chain. So you'll still have 3 loops once you've taken your hook out of that chain. And at that point, you yarn over again, and that's when you go through all of the remaining loops on your hook, like so. So let's try this once more in the next chain. You start by yarning over, you go through the middle of that chain, you yarn over, you go through with your hook through only that chain, you've got 3 loops on your hook, you yarn over, and you pull through all those loops. Let's do it 1/3 time. Yarn over, go through the chain, yarn over, take your hook off that chain, pull it through that chain, yarn over, and pull through all the 3 loops. So it's just a minor, I guess, change from the single crochet stitch. You're essentially building up your stitch to make it thicker and slightly sort of bigger. And so you'll see, obviously, given its name, the half double in terms of technique is very similar to the double crochet stitch if you're using US terminology always. So it's kind of an in-between stitch between the single crochet stitch and the double crochet stitch. So let's do this once more. You yarn over, go through that chain, you yarn over, pull through the chain, yarn over again, and pull through all 3 loops. And that is what you do along your row. And again, it is a great stitch if you're looking for a tighter weave but something maybe slightly bigger than your single crochet stitch. It is really you know, a great little stitch as well. So once you've reached the end of your row, you'll yarn over, And again, you'll continue in the same way. You'll put your first stitch on top of the last one you crocheted. So that's this one here. And you will always need to put your hook between both loops of that stitch. Again, those are the V's. The one V here with one little leg here and another little leg here. Oops, there we go. Hopefully you can see both. And the idea is that you have to get your hook through both of these. And again, if you want to double check that you're putting your hook in the right place and that you've identified the right stitch, we're always going to the second chain from hook. The loop on your hook doesn't count. That first loop where your yarn goes through is your first one. Therefore, this is your second one, right? This is your stitch. So we repeat the same exact steps. Yarn over, go through your stitch, yarn over, pull through your stitch. You've got 3 loops on your hook. You yarn over again and you pull through those loops. And that's how you go about it. It's really a great stitch. Again, very versatile. I use it very often when I'm trying to give things some shape. So if you combine it with single crochet stitch or the double crochet stitch, then it gives you a nice sort of curved look, especially if you're looking to do ornaments or just decorative items. And here, let's do one more row, and then we can compare it to how the single crochet stitch looks. So let's do this very quickly, just so that we have a few rows to compare it to. So this is how a few rows of your half double crochet would look. Again, you can see it's not as tight a weave as your single crochet, but it is a bit taller. So if you compare this to the single crochet stitch, you can see that, let me clear this up so it's more clear. You can see that it creates a longer, like wider stitch, just a bit, and therefore it's also a bit looser from that point of view compared to how tight the single crochet stitch is, but it is a beautiful stitch, and again, very useful to have in your arsenal of stitches, particularly if you're just starting off with crochet. So I hope this was useful, and happy crochet!